So I wanted to make a video on this specific pedal just because I saw a guy make an affordable pedal board with some of these cheaper pedals that you get from Amazon, and I didn't feel like it was completely genuine as far as like how he tested them and how he reviewed them. I'm also not a fan when people take a $3,000 guitar and plug it into a $1,500 amp. Like, it's not realistic. If you're buying this pedal, it means you probably don't have a lot to spend on a guitar or a tube amp and a big cab. Doesn't make a lot of sense. So I wanted to go ahead and review it kind of like other people would. So for this video, we're going to put it in front of free software. Everything I do, it's going to have free software. I'll put links in the description for everything I use. And if it's not free, it'll be inexpensive. I'm going to try to be as frugal as possible here. So we're going to try this in front of an amp sim and a cabinet impulse. And then we're going to try it as a preamp. Alright, for the purposes of this, we're using an ESP LTD EC401V. I think it's 25.5-inch scale length. It has PAF pickups, so pretty comparable to what you would get with burst buckers. So, and for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using free plugins. We're using the Ignite Emissary, but it's definitely worth getting. It sounds great. That's it. And the free cab sim is going to be their cab NadIR free cab impulses from Wilkinsen Audio. So the cabinet impulse right now I'm using is called Freddy, and it's, I believe, a Mesa 4x12. So this is my clean tone in front of the amp. Alright. Now let's turn on the distortion. Let's put everything at noon. I already hear some noise coming through. I'm using an isolated power supply by True Tone, so there shouldn't be any noise issues, even though this already sounds pretty noisy. I am using a silencer by Electro Harmonics, which is inexpensive. So if you are looking for an inexpensive gate, this one's great. The reason why it makes it great, even though its attack and release isn't as fast as most people would like it to be, it does have a send and return, so that after your heavier or your higher gain stages, you could put it back in through the loop and have a tighter gate. Especially if you're going to use this as a preamp. That way you don't have to have a ton of cables going to and from your amp, you know, from the send and return. This is what it sounds like with it on everything at noon. Doesn't sound too bad. So there's a switch on here. I believe this one's more aggressive, up position. See that right there? Now this. Very, very subtle difference. Let's put an overdrive in front of it. Now I'm using the TO800 by Behringer. Very cheap overdrive, very cheap. I'm gonna put out a different video showing what this thing can do and why it's not actually bad. Drive all the way down, level all the way up. This has a lot of low end to it. I mean, even with the tone at noon, let's put it a little. Yeah, cranking the gain up a little bit. Now it's at, let's put it at 3 o'clock, the tone at 2. Now that's everything at 3 o'clock minus the let's put the tone at 3 o'clock. But that's everything at 3 o'clock minus the level. Doesn't sound bad, it sounds great. Especially if we push this with an overdrive. Now it's a little too much gain because I did crank the gain, but... Now, let's see if we can use this to push the high gain channel. Alright, so I do have the high gain channel engaged, so... A little gain goes a long way, especially when it comes to tracking. So let's see if we can use this as a tube screamer. So gain all the way down, tone, let's leave it at 2-ish. Level, I don't even want to crank it. I don't know how loud this thing can get. Let's put that at 3 o'clock. Oh, it's very boomy. Yeah, not a huge fan of how it's sounding right now, but if we add gain, when we're adding gain, we're taking some of that low end out. See, it sounds fantastic as a tube screamer as well. Let's go on to see if we can use this as a preamp now. I really don't think this is going to be a great preamp, but I think it'll sound great with a tube screamer. All we're hearing right now is the just guitar going straight into the cabinet IR. Nothing driving it, you're not going to hear a lot. Well, let's turn it on. Levels cranked, tones about 2 or 3 o'clock, and the gain is relatively low, it's about at 9. Let's go ahead and crank the gain here. Let's put it at 3 o'clock. See, it sounds pretty good. It is a little boomy like I thought it would be. Doesn't sound too bad. Not a lot has changed from cranking the tone, so let's give it a little bit of that compression that it has by putting the switch on the up position. I'm gonna run a tube screamer in front of it. Very high gain. Let's try cranking that tone up a little bit. Liking the tone as a preamp, I don't know if I would say this one per se, unless you have an EQ with you. So that's my hot take on this pedal, and if you are going to use it in a live setting and you can't afford a $3,000 amp, you can buy one of those cheaper power amps and maybe like a 2x12 and use that. Especially if you don't have the cargo space to lug around an expensive amplifier that can break. I'm saying this in a scenario where you are living paycheck to paycheck. You're making it to shows by driving around a 1990 Toyota Previa that the drum kit barely fits in. Y'all remove the back seat. So that's what this is for. You can make it work. This is a pretty good pedal for that. low noise. The distortion's there. It is a little boomy at times, but it's nothing that an overdrive can't fix.